Ciao everybody, my name is Joey. Welcome to my channel. I got my 2 boxes that I get every month from the Craftica company. They are in the Czech Republic, so these boxes ship directly from the Czech Republic and they ship all around the world. So wherever you are watching from, this box is available to you and it's really reasonable. And as the name suggests, this box is Czech beads exclusive and it is jam-packed with Czech glass beads, and it is curated so that all the beads in all the different shapes and all the colors go together. So you have almost like a kit. But on that note, they do another box that you can do separately that is called Bohem style, and it actually is a kit. You make 2 pieces of jewelry every month and everything that you need is in there. So in the description box under this video, I'll put links to both, but today I'm just gonna unbox and make a whole bunch of projects. This is a making session and this is kind of funny, you guys. So I just wanted to show you the little treasure box that it comes in. This makes me giddy getting this little box. It's like getting a gift every month, and of course you never know what's going to be in it. So this is the palette for this month, the month of August 2025. It's called Red and Green Garden Treasures, and there's usually 26 items in the box, and it's a mix of focal beads and spacer beads and Czech glass faceted rounds and some findings. There's gold-plated ones in this month's box, so it is a really, really beautiful box. But I have to preface everything that I'm about to share with you by saying that red and green are probably my 2 least favorite colors, and the color palette that I almost never do, rarely, is putting green and red together. It's just not my thing. I am more of a pink, purple, lavender, yellow, all the berry tones. That's more my turquoise. That's more my color palette. So when I opened this, I thought, you know, oh wow, red and green, okay. But as I started to set up for my video, I became so inspired, and one of the reasons is the amazing quality of the beads that come from the Czech Republic and the cool shapes, and really they make me jump outside of my normal box, because there are beads here that if I was doing an order, I would not order them, but now that I have it in my hand, I absolutely love them. Like this one, we'll get to everything, but like this one and this one, I want to make a pendant out of this. So what happened to me is I was trying to set up for my video and I'm going, oh, look how pretty that goes with that. Oh, look at that, look at that. And the next thing you know, I've designed 4 pairs of earrings, a pendant, and a bracelet. And so I've done all my samples. They're sitting off to the left over here. So a few of my beads are missing from the little compartments, but they're not missing. They've just already gone into a project. So my quantities are not exactly right because I started making. So you know, that's saying something when you get a box that's not really your favorite colors, but it's still so inspiring. And wait until you see the projects. Oh my goodness, I can't wait. Okay, let me grab a little piece of wire and go through this really quickly because I do have a lot to make today. That is too small of a piece of wire. Okay, I have one here. Okay, so the first thing is a bead that I absolutely love, and I did use it in one of my projects. This is an electric green metallic 6mm faceted Czech glass round. Electric green metallic, you guys. And I don't even love green. It's not one of my favorite colors, but I absolutely love this. That is so, so, so amazing. I mean, that's just gorgeous. Okay, and then I don't know what's up with my next two beads. Bead number 2 is called a crystal green round faceted fire polish, and it's a 6mm. And bead number 3 is called crystal light green round faceted fire polish, 6mm. I don't see any difference in the color. If there is a difference, maybe it's one shade, I don't know. I see no difference in the color. So it's either a typo on my list or I got 2 of the same beads. So if you get this box and you have a difference here, which is fine because, you know, I love Czech glass faceted rounds, and the more you get, the better. And honestly, I didn't use those yet in my projects. And then I have always loved this owl. I'm an animal lover and I love watching the birds. And I have always loved this owl. There are 2 of them in this box in the most gorgeous colorways. I cannot ever get over the detail. When you look at this very small bead, I mean, this is a 15 millimeter by 7 millimeters. So it's 15 millimeters from his ears to his tail, but it's 7 millimeters this way. So that's a fairly small bead. But you look at this bead and you see his ears, his nose, his big eyes, his little feet on the perch, his tail feathers, his wing feathers, and it's two-sided. And this colorway is absolutely gorgeous. This is an olive green AB, which is Aurora Borealis for newer people. And so you can see the olive green here, but then that beautiful finish on the top. And so even though I've seen him many times and I have quite a few colors of him, I'm really loving this. And when I see an owl in nature, it is like the biggest thrill you can imagine. Okay, and then this is a matte Picasso crystal green round faceted fire polish. So this has the Picasso finish on top of a crystal green faceted round, so it looks rather opaque and you get a little color variation, that sort of dappling that comes with the Picasso finish. And I love that rich dark green. Greens, even though it's not one of my favorite colors, my design background has taught me that greens are a neutral. People forget that it's neutral. If you look in nature, green is the backdrop to everything, every flower, every tree, and all shades of green. And so like in home decor, when I was doing a model home, for instance, where there wasn't a budget to do a lot of furniture, you would layer in plants, and then when I chose the finishes, I might do like a green countertop, you know, because it adds life and color and doesn't make things look so stark. But anything else that the homeowner would want to layer in goes with green. I mean, think about it: pink and green, purple and green, eggplant, you know, and green, white and green, yellow and green, black and green. I mean, it goes on, it's neutral. So don't forget to think about that with your whites, creams, taupes, beiges, you know, that it really is a neutral color. So I'm not sad about the beautiful green collection here. Up next is a crystal green clear round faceted fire polish, and it's in 4 millimeter. These are just beautiful. One of my loves, and about a year ago, because I love these so much, I made a separate organizer just for fire polish rounds. So I love getting those. And then we got these wonderful silver lined light green Preciosa seed beads. They are a 6.0 seed bead, which equals 4 millimeter. And they are just beautiful. The flash and sparkle. Really, it's not so much sparkle, it is flash, like when it turns, when the light hits it. Just beautiful. We got a lovely quantity of those. And then here's our second little owl, and he is metallic crystal gold. And that is really amazing. Let me get my wire in here so I can get my fingers out of the way. But he looks like metal. He is so shiny because they put this metallic wash on top of the crystal base bead. And so the finishes on Czech glass are stunning. They layer them on sometimes that you can't even see what the base was, but the end effect is absolutely wonderful. So we got a beautiful little collection of him. And on my bracelet that I designed, I might do all of these as charms, but I'm going to use like a little ball head pin and make a charm out of at least one, and I might even decide to add in all of them because I really love those. And then I already kind of gave you a peek of this. This is a 14 millimeter metallic green washed gold patina. It's a round tablet shape, and so look at the profile of that bead, and the drill hole goes right up the center, and it's just so highly textural, and that green and gold is absolutely regal. And then we got this bead in 2 different colors. These are 3 millimeter beads, both of these. And this one is metallic matte, matte metallic violet purple rainbow iris. So as you, I'm going to get a couple of these on here. I happen to pick up 2 that are pretty similar, but you see the rainbow colors in there. There's green, blue, magenta, gold, purple, and the more that you string together, the more you see all of those colors, but it's matte, so it's just really beautiful. And I have to say, I know that we're in August, but I'm already thinking about autumnal jewelry, and these like are the colors that the leaves change. So as a spacer bead, that is gorgeous. And then we got the same bead in this beautiful matte gold. And then also in that matte gold, this is one of my favorite beads, a 6mm druck. A druck is a smooth round. There's no table cutting or faceting on it or fluting. And I mean, that is like bead perfection. I could have like a bathtub full of these and just always pull from them. They're just wonderful to do your entire piece out of or use as spacers. And then do not ask me why, but this is one of my favorite beads, if not my favorite bead in the whole box. This red is called a crystal red silver patina. It is a 6mm bead. Now there is a silver patina on there, but when I look at this, it's not reading silver to my eye. It's also not reading red to my eye. What I see is a rich berry pink or like a burgundy. So that color is in Joey land just beautiful. And because I love this bead so much, I'm doing a chain bracelet with this bead. And let me just pull it in and I'll show you, because I have a tiny little bit of it done. I am just going to make simple loop components out of those beads so they float on the wire. And I'm connecting it with a fancy gold filled jump ring. And then I had these double bead caps, and I'm going to just use one, and that's the only component that will have that. And this is going to be a chain bracelet. I'm going to do my simple loops on every single piece, see how far that gets me, and then if I need to finish with chain, I will do that. And that's where I wanted to make a little owl charm for this guy. And this to me is an everyday bracelet for me. I would wear this all the time. And like even with that, I could layer it in like with this bracelet that I made a couple weeks ago. So I love that bead. And isn't it funny how sometimes the most simple, sometimes simple is just the best. So that's one of the projects coming. And then there were two of these in two colors. These are olive beads. So there is the crystal emerald green and with a gold patina olive bead, and then there's also a crystal red with a gold patina olive bead. And I'm doing earrings, so that's why some of mine are missing, but I'm doing earrings out of both of those. I love this bead. This is just beautiful. It's so it's just beautiful. I don't even know what to say. There's something about the shape. There's a little bit of geometry in it, but it's kind of organic at the same time, even though it's not. I don't know what to even say about it, and you'll see there's a rustic bead in this that looks amazing with that, so I'll get to that. But as I said, for somebody who doesn't love this color palette, I love this box and I'm having so much fun with it already. So up next is a crystal ruby red and yellow teardrop bead, and I'm using these as well. So these are 6x9mm, so look at that color, and then it's got the yellow in it. Each is a little different, and I love the yellow with the red. And one of the reasons is that they accented the box with gold, and that yellow just picks up on the gold. It's very golden, for lack of a better word. So I love that little teardrop. So that's going in a project, and this is a classic for me. I don't know if I actually have this color in this maple leaf, but I love it. And this is also going in one of my projects. This is a matte red crystal gold patina maple leaf, and I mean, I just love this. And again, like for me, I know we're in August, but I'm kind of over summer. I'm kind of over this heat and all of it. So for me, I'm already thinking about my autumnal designs, and this is perfection. I love that. So there were 4 of these. One of mine is, off into a project. And then this is that rustic bead that I was telling you about. This is absolutely gorgeous. Find the hole. Oh my gosh, you guys, I have a magic power. My second bead does not have a hole at all. I have a magic power for having at least one bead or one finding in every box that has no hole. So that's going to cause me a little problem, because let me show you my earring that I made. I'm going to have to readjust things, but this was the earring that I designed because I just loved that rustic drop with the olive bead, and I did like this little stack of discs, making this very contemporary. And I had this really organic, a little bit rustic solid ring finding, and so that was my earring for this, and there were only 2 of these in the box. So I do have a trick for making I do have a trick for making beads work that do not have a hole, and so I'll have to do that and fix this earring, make a match. So I think I can do that, but I'm kind of sad because I used a little splayed head pin for this really rustic bead, and what this bead is a crystal etched half gold teardrop. So that etching, it's like acid etching, makes it very rustic and bumpy and organic, and it's like the complete opposite of the smooth beads. And I love this bead. So I did get a defective one, and it happens, you guys. I mean, if I messaged Natalia and the team at Craftica, I'm sure they would send one out to me. But sometimes, a little problem like that is an opportunity to do something special that you didn't think of right off the bat. So I'll work with that. Then there is a crystal red and gold half teardrop, this little small guy. This is gorgeous. It's half gold and half red crystal, and there's quite a few of these. These are so fun to string them all together and make the teardrops turn into flower petals. They're just really fun. These are also beautiful if you have petite jewelry and you need a little tiny drop like on the end of an extender chain. I can never leave, whoops, I'm making a mess here. I was going to show you my extender chain like on this bracelet. I made this one out of jump rings, but I cannot ever leave an extender chain blank. So sometimes I do something pretty elaborate, like on this one, a ceramic butterfly and a handmade head pin. But sometimes just a simple little dot, a little teardrop bead right at the end of your chain that matches in color to your other beads is just really beautiful. Okay, so there were 2 of these Mystera leaves as well. These are gold plated Mystera leaves, and the other one has gone into an earring project. And I just love these, and it's just perfect for summer. And I'm in the tropics, so this is one of our main, like, we see these all the time in nature around me. So it's beautiful, and look at that beautiful little connector hole. Wonderful. And then we also got a gold-plated twig branch leaf, and it's just a beautiful little charm. So again, if I wanted to do this, maybe I'll even change my mind. If I wanted to do this as the charm on my chain bracelet, that would be beautiful. This could also be beautiful if I put an extender chain on this. So I love getting a gold-plated, really high quality charm like that. It's just beautiful. And then this is another favorite bead in the box. Again, for somebody that this isn't her favorite colors, it's pretty much my favorite. This is a crystal coral red round faceted fire polish bead in 4mm, and I generally prefer a more blue undertone in my reds. And that being said, I love this coral red. It's a little bit orangey, but it's stunning, and I absolutely used it in my projects, and it looks great. And I love those little 4mm size. And then we got the yarn ball beads that match in color to the 3mm spacers here. Those are pretty classic Czech glass. And there were 2 of these beautiful coin beads. This is a focal flat coin, 20mm emerald green with a gold wash. There were 2 of those, and one of those is in my project. And I already showed you this pine cone drop. I love this. And again, I am thinking about autumnal jewelry. The reds and greens and golds and, the muted purples and oranges of fall. I just love this. I want to make a pendant for one of my blank gold chains that I have in my jewelry box. I keep just some blank chains because I do love to make pendants. And then the last item, so sad to get to the last item. The last item is this crystal red large flat leaf. And like even having the leaf hang beneath the pine cone, is that in itself with a piece of wire is the most stunning pendant. So if you know me at all, you know that I tend to add in things to every box that I get to personalize my bead boxes, to make them my own, so that they don't look like what everyone else makes with the box. So I tend to always do that. I usually start with seed beads. I'm going to set this aside and show you all the projects. I need this to be where I can still reach it, because I will need to get some beads out of there. But so I already showed you this earring, and I'm going to have to be creative and figure out what to do to kind of repair that. But this was my other earring with the second olive bead, and so it has a dangle on the back, and I did use one of my double bead caps. I can't remember where I got these, but when I edit the video, if I can find them in my past orders, I will link them for you. But if you like this look, the way the beads are stacked here, you can accomplish this by using two bead caps back to back, metal to metal. You can kind of accomplish the same look. Why I like the ones that are formed this way is, especially my earring here, my earring becomes the ear wire. It's all in one. I'm not attaching it to an ear wire. It's one of my favorite ways to make earrings. It's so easy to do. It's inexpensive. These are easy to take in and out of your piercings, and I just love it. My wire is anti-tarnish, so I just love that. And I love the dangle on this. So what I was going to say is, with the double bead caps back to back, wire wrapping might be better, and you can still do this with a wire wrapped loop too, but let's make that. So I have one of those double bead caps here. I have this really decorative like flower. I use these head pins as flowers. I also use them as sea urchins. I see them both ways depending on what I mix them with. And a piece of 20 gauge wire. And I need my beads. So let me get my other coin bead, my other green olive bead out of the dish, and one of those dark washed, Picasso dark washed crystal beads. So that's all the beads for that earring. And I'll start by doing a simple wire wrap on the coin bead. Just put that down and come in here. And also, the reason that I'm doing a wire wrapped loop on my coin bead is because when I attach it to my earring, even though it dangles, I want my coin bead to be facing forward. When you do a simple loop, you can't secure anything. So a bead that, you know, is 360 round can spin around, and it's not going to change the look of your design. But if my coin bead was constantly spinning, that would drive me crazy. It's not wrong, you know, people do it, but for me, I just really want this bead to be facing forward. So I'm going to put a 90-degree bend in my wire, and then come in with my round nose pliers. And let's see, I did a fairly small loop, so I'm going to stay down pretty much near the tip of my round nose pliers. Bring that head pin wire over the top barrel, rotate so the bottom barrel is now the top, and I'll turn my everything this way so that I can pull this around and center my loop on my bead, on my stack. And then when I take it away, I have this really pretty loop. And let me just do one tiny little adjustment here. Just going to pull it down a little bit. So from here, before you start wrapping, you can do what I did if you want to zhuzh it a little bit. I'm going to use my bent chain nose pliers and wrap right down to my bead. Just tuck that in line gently. I don't want to break my bead or put any stress on my bead, but now my coin bead is facing forward and it's secure. And so the next thing to do is put a simple loop in the bottom, and I did use my one-step looper. When I'm making earrings, I use all three sizes of my one-step loopers. They keep my earrings matching perfectly. Perfectly. I cannot talk. So I'm just going to put a simple loop in one end of this wire and get it nice and straight, because this wire is what I'm making my earring component out of, but it goes right into being the ear wire. So it's important that it's warm and smooth and really straight so that you get a really pretty earring at the end. So I just bend that wire down so that loop is centered on the wire the same way that I did with my pliers. And I'm going to go ahead and open this loop and attach my ear wire, my coin bead, and I'm doing it so that the front of my wrap is to the front of my simple loop. In other words, the opening of that simple loop is going to be at the back of my earring. So when I look at my earring, it's seamless. There's no openings of loops. And then I'm just going to do this little stack. Check glass bead, double bead cap, olive bead. So it looks like that. It's so beautiful. And now I'm going to take my pliers, and again, this is the front of my earring. Get a hold of my wire at the top of the last bead, and I'm going to bend it toward me about 45 degrees. So that's going to keep that bead on, so it's in place. And then I use my 6-step bail making plier, and for this one I use the second to the largest step. You can really do these, you can use the small ones if you want your ear hook to be really small. You can really, in the marketplace you see ear wires in every kind of shape and configuration. These artisan ones, you know, they're wonderful, and they look handmade but elegant and not the same as what everybody else has. So I'm putting my, just turn it every which way so you can see, I'm putting my bead in between the pliers so that I'm going to be wrapping away from me, and the barrel that I want is where I'm going to be wrapping. And just make sure that everything is straight before you do that, so your earring is nice and straight, and then just wrap it around and bring it to the back of the earring, and when you take it away, your earring is done. So I didn't totally finish this one because I want to cut these at the same length. Whoops, wrong way. As best as I can, get them the same length. Okay, right about there. That'll be great for my bracelet components. And now I'm going to take my flat nose pliers and just right here on the end, line that up and kick that out. And then for a nice professional finish, I'm going to use my battery operated reamer with the rounder, the wire rounder attachment on the end. Put my wire in that little cup and press the button. Just takes all the sharpness. It's a beautiful professional finish, and it takes the sharp cut off of the wire. Oops, a little feel. I just run my finger over it. I still felt a little. That's perfect. Okay, that pair is done. Aren't they gorgeous? I mean, these are absolutely gorgeous. You could just put these earrings on and pretty much anything, and you're all dressed up. I mean, they're just stunning. I love them. Okay, the next pair is so pretty. This pair is all red, and so as I said, I'm kind of color blocking because I don't love red and green together. So I did an all red pair and an all green pair, and then I've totally added in another color to the next pair. You'll see it's so pretty. So look how gorgeous this is. I use those fire polish and one of the maple leaves and one of those yellow red teardrops, and this is so dangly and so bold and beautiful. And I used a kind of a contemporary ear wire. I have this assortment of ear wires that I just love. There's all different shapes in there, but I chose this one, and I'm using a piece of 20 gauge wire to wrap my maple leaf, and I'm I made out of 22 gauge wire, I made a jump ring, and just because I just put a jump ring through the teardrop bead and I just want it to dangle and I don't want to put any stress on the top of the teardrop, so I went down to a smaller gauge. And then I have a little piece here, literally from my scrap bag, of 26 gauge wire. And that's what I'm going to be making the ring out of. And then let me show you again. Twist it and make a wire wrapped loop with the twist. So let's do the maple leaf first. Let me get all the beads out of the tray, and I'm going to wire wrap the maple leaf first so that it can get strung directly onto the stringing that we do. Okay, so really simple, 20 gauge wire, and same thing I just did. I'm going to come down right about there, put a 90-degree bend, and I'm just going to put a wrapped loop. And again, I'm doing a wrapped loop because I want my maple leaf to stay facing forward. Even though my earring dangles, I always want my maple leaf to be facing forward on my earring. So that's why I did wrapped loops, so I can just gently tighten it down and keep that facing forward. So same thing, 90-degree bend, and let me get this wrapped. I did do a little bit larger loop at the top of this component here, just because I do want it to sit nicely in between the two beads and hang down, but I don't want it to go over those beads. So I got just the right size loop, and then I did a little bit smaller one on this end. So for that first loop, I'm going to come down here closer to the widest part of my barrel. So let me just get these wrapped and get my maple leaf on. The other thing is these two loops are going in different directions because of the orientation of the ear wire. So my top loop is perpendicular to my mat, and this loop is going to be parallel to my mat. And again, that keeps the maple leaf facing forward. Okay, so I just gently snuggled all those wraps, and as you see, parallel to my mat, perpendicular to my mat. And it is ready for the stringing. So I'm going to take my little piece of 26 gauge wire, and you need 6. I do an even number when I'm making a ring like this, so you'll need 6 of your fire polish 4mm and only 4 of your 3mm gold, matte gold spacer beads. So I'm going to feed on fire polish and then my maple leaf, and then another fire polish, and then you can go to both sides of my little 26 gauge wire. Put a 3mm bead on each side. Okay, so I just created this pattern so that I don't need a spacer where my maple leaf is attached because the wire is there. And then at the top, I don't need a spacer either because that's where my wrapped loop is going to be. Let me hold this sample up again. So that's how I work the pattern out. Odd numbers look really good when you're doing this. And then I'm just going to get this into a little circle. Don't kink your wire, don't like fold your wire. Just kind of create a little circle and get it secure. Just a little twist to hold it in place. And before you twist the rest, get your shape the way that you want it. I also have this little set of mandrels, and I'll even put my beads when I'm working with such fine gauge wire, put it on this mandrel to shape it. You can do it with your fingers too, but I'm a jewelry tool-aholic. I love my tools. And really the main thing is just to match both earrings. That looks pretty good. Okay, and now we are going to create a twist. Hang on to your ring. Whoops, I want to go in the right direction. Yep, that direction. Just going to put a little twist in there. Draw these wires together. A nylon jaw plier really helps with this. I'm going to hold light tension here, and I'm going to twist this wire and pull. So I'm twisting and pulling at the same time. So pulling here and twisting with this hand. Get a little rhythm. Okay, so my wire is twisted, and I obviously have to fix my ring again. You could make your ring into a teardrop, but I kind of like the round shape, so do what you like. And then from here, I'm going to treat this as one wire and do a wire wrapped loop. And it's got to go in the same direction as my ring because of the orientation of my ear wire. So just get a hold of that twisted wire, 90-degree bend, and do a wire wrapped loop. Okay, I'm going to do bring my last wrap around to what will be the back of my earring and trim off one of my teardrop beads. I'm going to open this 22 gauge jump ring and slip this little teardrop right on there. I went to the smaller wire because I really wanted my little teardrop to just move freely. And then I'm going to put that through my wrapped loop, close it really well. Work hard in that ring. And it is ready for the ear wire. Okay, earring number 3 is done. Okay, my last pair of earrings is a little bit more involved, and I added in a color that wasn't in the box. So let me make a little space here. I used some 11-0 gold Toho seed beads. Let me put a few of those out here. I used another little piece of that 26 gauge wire. I used some turquoise color size 8 demi rounds. Put a few of those out here. So if you can't tell, I popped turquoise in with the beautiful electric green. So let me show you the earring. This is what it looks like. I love that electric metallic green Czech glass fire polish bead, and I really wanted to feature it. And I love those small 4mm beads and the Mystera leaf. I thought I had connected it backwards because the Mystera leaves have a front and a back, but I didn't connect it backwards. It was just twisted up here. So that's what it looks like. And again, you can make a teardrop shape here or a circle. I kind of went for the circle. And I have these really gorgeous little bow gold plated ear wires. So I'm going to use one of those. And then I have these. These are blue azzurro Czech O beads. I literally only used 2 of these, but they have those beautiful blues and electric greens in them, and see what they look like. And I just used 2 of them, and they just add this beautiful little, there's something amazing about O beads and demi rounds. The Czech glass ones are just stunning. There's a profile to these that's different from seed beads, and it adds a texture. Like, can you see when you stack them? You get this amazing look. It's one of my favorite beads in the world, and I buy them whenever I see them. If I see them on a website or in a bead shop or at a bead show, I kind of hoard these a little bit because they just make such a difference. I think I only used, I only used 3 of the gold ones, but you just get a totally different look than you do because it's a tiny little donut. It's a really tiny little ring. And I mean, I just love these O beads. I love them. I have a love affair with circles in jewelry making. So that is what is needed for the last earring. Oh, the beads. I gotta get the Mystera leaf out of my dish, and another one of those electric green fire polish beads, and I need 4 of the 4mm light green fire polish. Okay, and my pattern is to feed on my leaf, and then I did 3 of the turquoise O beads on either side of the leaf. Okay, so that is my little pattern. It matches the other side exactly, and I'm going to now draw this together. And like I said, you can create whatever shape you want. If you wanted a teardrop shape here, but we're going to basically do the same thing we did on the other earring. So if you wanted to leave it in a teardrop, you could. I went for a round. I like the round. I'm going to get everything nice and tight and just get a little twist in there. Push everything down and twist. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did before. Get a hold. It's helpful. You get a prettier twist if you start out with tighten this a little bit before I start twisting. Just tighten it a little bit. And if you start out with your wires together, I don't know, for me, just my rhythm of doing a twist, I get a better, neater twist in my piece. I'm going to feed on one of the gold demi rounds, and then 2 of my kind of mermaid glass ring beads, and then another gold demi round, and then my electric green bead that I love so much. Get both wires through my electric green bead, and then my last gold demi round. So it looks like that, and then I'm going to do another wire wrapped loop just like we have been, and also it goes in the same direction as my open ring on the earring. And it is ready to add to my ear wire. Okay, look at these. Aren't they wonderful? Oh my goodness. These really are beautiful. They're, you know, perfect for summer and spring, really. I just love them. Okay, I took this apart when I paused, and I'm going to show you what you can do when you get a bead that you love, but it doesn't have a hole in it. And let's see. I'm going to show you a couple of options. So if you have a cord glue-on end that you like, that is a very simple option. If you have one that fits, you can glue this onto your bead and then put a jump ring through and continue on. And I really, really like that. It's a little bit big, and I didn't want a lot of weight to these earrings. So if I don't have one that I love, and I don't think I'm going to have one. That's probably about the best one that's going to fit over the top of the bead. and it's okay. These are a little bit heavy, so I don't know if I want to add that to my earring, but that's one option, is to use some E6000 glue and glue a cap onto the end. The other option is to take a piece of a piece of wire, like 22 gauge works really well, and make a tiny little coil and put that through a bead cap and glue your bead cap on, and then you have the wire coming out the top so that you can do it that way. But a third option is to wrap it the way you would a stone. So let me get some 26 gauge wire, and I'm choosing 26 gauge because this bead is so small. Okay, I have cut 6 pieces of 26 gauge wire. I'm going to do 3 for each bead. So 3 for each earring. And then I have a 4th piece of wire that is a little bit shorter. So that's going to be for the other earring. And I'm going to take these wires and come right here in the middle and take my smaller piece and get a few wraps around this wire right in the middle. This is much easier if you're doing like 20 gauge wire for your bundle. But this bead is really small, and I also really love the finish on it, and I don't want to cover it up. So I'm just going to get some wraps in here. And basically I want enough to just go across the bottom of the bead. And I do want to tighten these wraps up. That's all I need, so I can go ahead and trim away this extra. And I'm going to just make it really neat. I'm going to take my pliers and pull these wraps together so it's really tight. You can use your fingernail. It's 26 gauge wire, so I don't like to use my fingernails for tools, but sometimes they're the best tool. Just gonna like pinch those wraps together so that it's really neat. And then where my cut ends are, just chase it around those little bundles of wire. Before you move on to the next step, just make this part really nice and neat. Just chase it around, like I just kind of open and close and go around in the direction I want it. So I have this really petite coil, and like I said, if this was a bigger bead, this would be easier with larger wire, but you can do it with any gauge wire. So I have that. I'm going to pull this down to about the middle, and I'll take my bead with no hole, and I'm going to just, before I bring the bead in, I'm going to separate these wires. So there's one to the left, one to the right, and one in the middle. And I'm going to do the same thing here. One to the left, one to the right, one to the left, and one in the middle. And now I'm going to put my bead in here and basically cage this bead. It's a little challenging with no hole and the size of this bead, as I said, but I want this bead in my earrings, and I am a little bit stubborn when it comes to when I want to do something. I'm just going to gather this around the bead and just gather it. I want to make sure the bead isn't going to slip out when I'm done, so I'm pulling some of the wires to kind of the back side of the teardrop. This wire is really easy to work with. It's 26 gauge, so it's very forgiving. You can also just like bunch it up in the middle, and I'm going to twist. If you didn't guess, I'm going to twist, and then you can always come back with your pliers and move the wires to where you would like it to be, because they're going to when you start twisting, they're definitely going to get kind of mixed up. So I'm just going to get a little twist in here. And this is really forgiving because of the organic, rustic nature of the bead. This will work great because of this bead. And I'm going to do the same thing I've been doing. Just get a twist with all the wires. I can come in and, you know, fix my wires where I want. And from here, like if you wanted to put like some little lightning bolts in the wire, whatever you like the look of, I'm just going to play for a second. I want to spread my wire out. I want to make sure this bead stays in here. So I kind of like that look. I do this a lot when I'm wrapping seashells. Grab a hold of the wire and just twist, and you put almost like a little lightning bolt in the wire, and it tightens everything, but it also makes this really pretty little shape on there. So I really like the way this ended up on here because I wanted to see the half gold, half red, the etching. I'm gonna, like, I just want to zhuzh my original coil. Just play with it until you have it right. But I really like it like that. I wanted to see that, and that's why I had strung this originally, the one with the hole, on the head pin so that it would spin around and you could see like the rustic nature of the bead. But now I am going to just look at my earring, and I need a loop that's going perpendicular to my mat to go over my ring. So I'm going to choose kind of like the front of this bead, maybe right there. And I'm going to do a wire wrapped loop here, but I am going to do it, I'm going to do it fairly large, and I'm not going to close it until I attach it to my ring. So I'm going to come down here pretty far on my pliers just because of all the bumpiness on the ring, and I want it to float nicely. And I'm just going to do a wire wrapped loop here. Just like that. And before I wrap it closed, I'm going to give myself some space and add it to my ring. This is so cool. You know, I rarely, I'm a little bit stubborn when I am designing, and when I want a piece to do a certain thing, I find a way to make it happen. So if that ever happens to you, where you get a bead that is missing its hole, you have options. You know, I think your first reaction sometimes is throw it in the trash can, but there's things you can do. I'm just going to wrap right down to the top. That is gorgeous. It might even be better than the way I had it with the bead with the hole in it. Just going to trim all those extras and just tidy it up, get it tucked. You know, now it's a twist, so just take your time and just want to like get everything tucked. That looks amazing. I'm gonna just straighten out my loop a tiny bit. Look at that, isn't it stunning? It's just so pretty, and this twisted wrap and the little lightning bolts on that bead, to me, they just add to the rustic nature of the bead. And I have this rustic kind of bumpy organic ring, and that's why I did some wavy disc spacers on this one. So let's I'll go ahead and prepare this other bead exactly the way that I did that one, and we'll put that earring together, and that will be finished. So I'm going to do the exact same thing for my second bead. Okay, my second, this bead did have a hole, but my second one is ready for the rest of the earring. So I have a simple loop in this end of a piece of 20 gauge wire, and I'm just going to open that loop. It's going to have to be wide enough to go over the top of this ring, this bumpy ring. And found these rings were a little hard to get my pliers in there, but it can be done, and it's looking great. Okay, now it's just another simple stack. So I did one of the 3mm matte gold, and then I did a shiny gold disc spacer, and then a wavy gold disc spacer, another really flat one. Oh, and I'm missing my red olive bead. It is right here. And I'm just going to stack that on, and then I did this earring exactly the same way that I did the other handmade ear wire. So let me bring this one up to speed to match the other one. Okay, and this pair is done, and even with my magical touch of having a bead with no hole, I still got my earrings done. I love every single pair of these. And so now I'm just going to quickly make my beaded chain, and I love my gold filled diamond cut really fancy jump rings. There are 3 sizes in this set, and I'm just going to take, I've been using the middle size, which I think is a 5mm. So I'm just going to pick out a few of the 5mm here and get all of these links made and connected, and check my length to see if it's my proper bracelet length. And if it is, I'll add a lobster claw clasp. If it is not, I'm going to add an extender chain, and then choose maybe the gold owl for my bauble on here, my little charm on here. So I'm going to show you, I already showed you what I do with my one-step looper when I have to make a beaded chain. I have a problem with both my hands, and making a lot of loops and twisting a lot of wire really kicks it up. So my one-step looper really helps me to keep my hands from hurting and swelling. And I use my scraps of wire when I have just a little small bead like that. I use my scraps of wire, and I'm using my 1.5mm, the smallest size of the one-step looper, and I'm just going to get this beaded chain made. When I have a chain to make like this, I don't put my another blocked hole. Good grief. Okay, let me see if my bead reamer will take care of this one. Yes, it did. Bead reamer worked on this one. Okay, as I was saying, which I did put my tool down, but I will keep my tool in my hand and not put it down. I'll just swing it out of the way and then swing it back in position and get all of my little individual links made very quickly this way. Now I'm going to be connecting with jump rings on this piece, so I'm going to put my pliers to every single loop to make sure that it's perfectly closed, and with a little force open and close my pliers on the component to make sure that it's work hardened. And I just like them to be perfect. To me, that quality, anything I can do to add quality to my work makes me happy. And I'm using up my scraps of wire because the beads are so small. So I'm just going to get all these wrapped, all these looped. Okay, my beautiful little beaded chain is done. Isn't that stunning? It's so simple, but it's so wonderful. And I just love having this one special bead station in the bracelet. And I put, I'll show you, I got my length just right, so I didn't do an extender chain. And I'll show you one of the things I love about that jump ring assortment. There are 3 sizes in it, so I used the medium of the sizes to connect all my simple loops, but then I used the largest of the sizes to make the ring that the lobster claw connects into. And let me get my fingers out of the way, and I used the smallest one to connect the lobster claw. So the bracelet is just beautiful. And then I took one of the owls and I did a little handmade simple loop. I had a 6/0 seed bead in my bead soup that really I just wanted to top him off, and it matches perfectly. And I have a jump ring here that I made, and I'm just going to show you a little connecting trick. Those that are returning to my channel have seen me do this. Wherever possible, I connect my charms this way. But I'll open my jump ring, and rather than hook through a loop, I am going to go around the circumference of a loop. So around the circumference of my component here, and then I'll add my charm on to my jump ring and then close it. I can find the end. There it is. I have all these gold rings. I'm just going to close it really well so that it makes a perfect circle, and put my pliers inside if I need to, or cardon. And so what that does is my charm will never be kinked. It doesn't matter which way I pick my bracelet up. See how it just floats effortlessly around the bracelet. So it doesn't matter which way I turn this bracelet to put it on. My charm will always land just where I need it to, and the owls are two-sided, so they are perfect to make little bracelet charms. So this was an amazing box. For it not being my favorite box that Craftico has ever done. You would not know it because it inspired me immensely, and the beads are just beautiful. I actually love all my projects, and I think I'll be keeping all of them, including this one. That was so fun to have the challenge of not having a hole in my bead. It does happen from time to time. I mean, nothing is perfect in this world. And so I hope you got a little trick or a little tip, or saw something that you hadn't seen before. That's what I always hope in my videos. And I will put links to the Craftica company. This box again is the August 2025 Czech Beads exclusive box. And I also usually link the second box that they do. And as soon as I get the pictures up at the end of this video, get them taken and all, I'm going to start filming their other box that I get, the Bohem style DIY jewelry kit. So they're both great boxes, and I really thank you guys for watching, and I hope you'll subscribe to my channel and tap the bell notification, and enjoy the rest of your summer, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao everybody.